Hey everyone, welcome back to day 11 of Walking in Wisdom, where I talk about a different chapter of Proverbs every day for an entire month of October 2020. So reading through Proverbs 10 and 11, and even later on too, I've noticed the need to keep the 8th commandment, which is, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And since I'm a Lutheran director of Christian education, the natural thing to ask is, what does this mean? So it means that we should fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbor, betray him, slander him, or hurt his reputation, but defend him and speak well of him and explain everything in the kindest way. These are things that were taught during when I was in confirmation and what we now call legacy of faith here at our congregation. And the differences between right and wrong. We're taught about the difference between righteous and wicked, the wise and the foolish, but these things are not taught just here in the spiritual world, but also in the secular world. Some of the definitions might be just a little bit different, but the secular world can still tell the difference between the righteous and the wicked. And the wicked are often punished while a good deed is still commended. So today in Proverbs, chapter 11, focusing on verses 10 to 14, we'll take a quick look at building up reputations and the difference between judging sin and knowing about it. So starting with verse 10, then it goes well with the righteous. The city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there are shouts of gladness. By the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted, but the mouth of the wicked, it is overthrown. Whoever belittles his neighbor lacks sense, but a man of understanding remains silent. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors there is safety. The distinction between the righteous and the wicked is not confined to the private or spiritual realms of life, but also it manifests itself in public words and actions. As you seek to live with integrity that reflects the righteousness we've received, we also express our righteousness in public ways, among our neighbors, in matters of commerce, and in our community. We're called to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world by the grace that we've been given by Jesus Christ. So looking at 12 and 13, talking about belittling and slandering, or the opposite of remaining silent and keeping things covered, it shows there is a benefit to holding your tongue. The Large Catechism even brings this up, talking about Matthew chapter 7, with the log and the speck. And it says there's a difference between these two things, between judging sin and knowing about sin. You may indeed know about it, but you are not to judge it. I can indeed see and hear that my neighbor sins, but I have no command to report it to others. Now, if I rush in, judging and passing sentence, I fall into a greater sin that is greater than his. But if you know about it, do nothing, then turn your ears into a grave and cover it until you are appointed to punish by virtue of your office. Because you know what? Our job as neighbors isn't to condemn them for their sin, but it's to be kind and patient with them, sharing the good news that God has sent his Son and has called us to live in service to him and our neighbors. We're to show them God's love by building them up, by building up their reputation, not in slandering them or tearing them down through belittling them, but we are to build up our neighbor. We're to guide them, to respect them, and to show them to have an awe and respect, a fear of the Lord by keeping the 8th commandment. And we do this through speaking well of him and explaining everything in the kindest way. So I say with that, keep reading and getting wiser, because tomorrow Solomon loses his patience. So with that, see you tomorrow for chapter 12. Have a great day. God bless.